in Europe of 5 million people. If I should say a little bit about Finland, is usually known for a very good education system. Has been in so many indexes, first in so many indexes. So my background is in higher education management. I have a PhD in higher education management, a Master of Philosophy in higher education management, a Master of Administrative Studies, and currently I have, as I wrote on the platform, I have been studying entrepreneurial universities for the past 15, soon 20 years, how to get universities more strategically positioned in economic development activities. I have been researcher at the University of Turku here, which has a partnership with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Originally, I come from Cameroon, so I'm soon here for almost 20 years. I've had many of the studies in the Finnish education system here, and that is why we also felt that we would invite also Professor Seppo Holter, who has also been studying. He was, I would like to say, was my supervisor at the master's level and the PhD level. And if you have read the narrative, you've seen one of the person who called father of the Entrepreneurial University, Burton Clark. So Seppo was spending some time with him at the University of Los Angeles, United States, before I came. I met him. So we would proceed in this way. We would all introduce ourselves. Then after introducing ourselves, I would give the floor to anybody who has found any challenge in reading the narrative to ask questions so that we can exchange. We would also like to hear about your experiences, how your universities are getting business-like, and especially how some of the concepts we have learned can be used. I think I urge all of us to unmute whenever we want to speak, and if you have any difficulty hearing, you can indicate. Bonjour à tout le monde. Je suis Dr. Do. J'espère qu'il y a des gens d'expression française là. Il y en a, s'il vous plaît. Allô?
Oui, il y en a.
OK, il y en a, et je vois M. Fall. Il y a Banem. Oui, je disais que je parle à partir de la fin. Là, je ne serai pas parfait en français, mais je parle, je rédige quand il s'agit de rédiger, même scientifiquement. Je suis spécialiste en gouvernance universitaire. Toute ma formation académique a été en gouvernance universitaire. J'ai rédigé ma thèse sur le rôle de l'enseignement supérieur dans les politiques et stratégies de réduction de pauvreté en Afrique. Pour l'instant, je suis senior researcher à l'université de Turku, parmi lesquels je suis consultant expert pour le gouvernement belge en matière de l'éducation dans l'African Union. Je disais que j'apprends les universités entrepreneuriales depuis à peu près 20 ans maintenant. Et notre invité de ce jour sera le professeur Seppo Holter, qui d'ailleurs a été mon superviseur qui a été aussi supervisé en partie par celui qu'on appellerait le père des universités entrepreneuriales. Il s'agit de Burton Clark. Il lui est rendu visite à l'université de Los Angeles. Et même Burton Clark a rendu visite chez CEPO, ici à l'université de UNSO en Finlande, avant de faire cette fameuse publication sur les universités entrepreneuriales. Et lorsqu'on parle des universités entrepreneuriales, bon, beaucoup de gens pensent que c'est des universités qui peuvent générer des ressources. Oui, ça fait partie. On pense que c'est l'éducation entrepreneuriale, ça peut perdre partie, mais c'est du point de vue institutionnel. Comment est-ce que l'entrepreneuriat est institutionnalisé dans une université? Donc, c'est de ça que le professeur Sepo Otano parlera et je vous laisse la parole. On va s'introduire un à un. Merci beaucoup. Qui va commencer?
Bonjour à tout le monde. Je suis Evelyne Banem, chargée d'études à l'IFIGU en ce moment. J'ai un master, excusez-moi, j'ai un master en gouvernance universitaire. J'ai été formée par le professeur Do à l'université de Yaoundé 2. Je vous remercie. Je remercie les directeurs du cours pour ce cours intéressant et je suis impatiente de renforcer mes capacités pendant ce cours. Merci beaucoup. Excusez-moi.
Professeur, votre micro est fermé. Professeur, ouvrez votre micro, s'il vous plaît.
Who is the next? Qui est la prochaine personne, s'il vous plaît, à s'introduire?
Bonjour. Je m'appelle Laurent Ilboudo. Je suis à l'Agence universitaire de la francophonie. C'est une association d'universités qui partage la langue française. Ce qui m'intéresse particulièrement dans ce cours, c'est de savoir comment justement les universités classiques, pas les instituts de formation professionnelle, pas les instituts de technologie, mais les universités généralistes qui forment des masses d'étudiants en sciences sociales et humaines peuvent justement institutionnaliser ce volet d'entrepreneuriat. Par exemple, des étudiants en philosophie, en géographie, en histoire, en droit, comment intégrer dans les cursus ou comment mettre en place des dispositifs pérennes, structurels qui puissent permettre aux étudiants qui ont l'esprit entrepreneurial de sortir avec justement un projet d'entreprise viable. Et comment justement réseauter ces universités avec l'écosystème de l'entrepreneuriat, que ce soit des incubateurs, des hubs digitaux, des banques, et faire en sorte justement que ceux qui ont le projet puissent trouver l'accompagnement nécessaire. Donc, s'il y a des expériences d'autres universités, je sais que dans le cours, peut-être, ces expériences seront partagées, c'est de mettre l'accent justement sur les expériences réussies pour inspirer celles qui voudraient mettre en place de tels dispositifs. Merci.
à l'Agence universitaire de la francophonie où? C'est Sénégal? C'est à Dakar? Ou le
Oui.
Cameroun?
Non, je suis au Sénégal.
Ah, OK. Je crois Madame Banem n'a pas dit que IFGU, c'est l'Institut de la gouvernance universitaire qui fait partie de l'Agence universitaire de la francophonie à Yaoundé, au Cameroun. C'est bien, Madame Banem?
Exactement, professeur. Exactement. L'IFGU est un institut de l'Agence universitaire de la francophonie et j'y suis actuellement aussi.
OK. Qui est la prochaine personne, s'il vous plaît? On peut mettre les vidéos quand on parle. Lorsqu'on ouvre le micro, c'est bon. Prochaine personne. Next person, please.
Hello. Bonjour, professeur. Hello.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Bonjour, professeur. Moi, c'est Paul Gouet. Je suis des affaires étrangères au Bénin. Je suis interprète traducteur. Je suis cette formation pour pouvoir avoir de nouvelles connaissances et mieux servir dans mon domaine. Voilà un peu l'objectif de mon inscription à cette formation-ci. Merci, merci, cher Paty.
OK. Prochaine personne, s'il vous plaît. Next person. Next person.
Maybe I could go.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Susan Musembi from Kenya, and I'm just wondering whether this was the French version of the meeting, but I'll just go ahead. I don't know.
No, it's in English. It's in English. We're just trying to accommodate everybody. It's in
I
English.
understand. I understand.
The coordinator speaks some French. It's in English.
Okay.
The lecture would be in English. So I'm sure also that they would be in problems when the whole lecture will go in English, but I could come in to clarify a few things. And
Okay.
we do with our bilingualism like that. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
It's great. I did French a long time ago. At least I can pick up one or two words. So I'll switch off my video because of the bandwidth, but I'm Susan Musembi from Kenya, currently at Kenyatta University. I am a scientist and a lecturer in biomedical sciences, molecular biology, and biotechnology being my specialty. But the reason why I'm interested in this course is that I'm also a trainer and a mentor and a technical advisor to startup companies at the university. And innovations are hosted at our Business Innovation and Incubation Center. And by and large, I would really like to understand how we can transform and position particularly African universities and the ones that are really faced with a lot of constraints in terms of the environment, in terms of the infrastructure, how we can really leverage what we have and build it and transform the way we operate. And perhaps later, maybe not now, I would like to just share some of the experiences I've had as an individual who is helping startups to develop their businesses in Africa. And I can tell you that clearly the institutions and the structures are not made to talk to each other, and I almost feel like we don't know what we are expected of each other. So thank you very much.
Next person, please. Next person.
Hello.
Laurent?
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. Yes, I'm Professor Hortense Atta Diallo. I'm
Yes.
the Vice President of the University Nagui-Abroa in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. And I'm very much interested in accompanying my institution to this entrepreneurship. So this is why I'm attending this course. And
share the experience that others have already in that area. Thank you very much.
Next person, Laurent.
I've already spoken.
Okay, JJ is who? Who reads like JJ? Okay, maybe we will give the floor to Professor Seppo Horta to introduce himself, then I would introduce him again. Or do we think that some of you would have something you want to ask from the narrative you received? We can listen to Professor Seppo Horta and then listen to you again if somebody has something to ask from the narrative. Then before we hand over to Professor Seppo Horta, but if you don't have, I'll have also a question for you. So let us listen to Professor Seppo Horta and then listen back to you.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Seppo, just briefly video, so it's a little bit lively.
Yeah, I have tried to work with the video connection, but for some reason, you cannot see me.
No, not yet. Just yeah, not yet.
I don't understand what is the problem now, but but it looks like that it is not working. I cannot.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe you introduce yourself. Maybe by the time that you come in to speak, the video is okay. Whichever.
Okay. Again, good morning, everybody. I'm speaking from Helsinki, Finland, and we have a midwinter and a lot of snow around, quite different from Africa. But about myself, as Pascal told you in the introduction, I have worked as a professor of higher education management and policy for 20 years at the University of Tampere. But now I'm retired. But before starting my academic career, I was also working during my PhD studies. I was working as a head of planning and development of one Finnish university called University of Joensuu. And in that university, I learned a lot about the practices of institutional development. And in particular, it was a very, very relevant experience to me, because that university used to be a small, quite marginal university in Finland. It was located in the very sparsely populated region, and used to be the poorest region in Finland, in the northeast of Finland, at the Russian border. And the university and university leaders used to be very ambitious, and they were meaning that the university wanted to become a real research university, in spite of that that university originally was a teacher training college, and then the new fields and disciplines were of the university, they all supported teacher education. And but anyway, it got a status of a university, and wanted to become an international oriented, high quality university. And in that poor environment, the environment, there were only some small business companies, not really big industrial companies in the region, meaning that the university was expected to support the development of the region and the province. And but what happened at that time? Now I'm talking about the 1990s. In the early 1990s, the Finnish government started a deregulation program, increased the autonomy of the universities, and it provided a lot of opportunities after a very strict control of government. And that was the starting point. We started to develop more entrepreneurial kind of activities into the university, use all the opportunities provided by government, and wanted to integrate the region to the institutional development. And that was one background story. And if I go to the concept of the entrepreneurial university, my colleague Pascal already mentioned the very important scholar in this field, Professor Burton Clark, who started to make a study on innovative European universities, because in the 1990s was the decade in Europe where all the governments started the deregulation programs, and also started to increase access to higher education, and to create mass higher education systems, national systems. And what happened in Finland was very parallel what happened in some other countries in Europe. And Burton Clark became interested on the dynamics in Europe, and identified 5 European universities which has shown to be innovative, very active in and even proactive in institutional developments, making the universities to serve better the society and making them also financially more sustainable. And my university, University of Joensuu, used to be one of those universities in Europe who used to have the reputation of trying to find a new ways of operations. And actually, the other 4 universities in his very influential study used to be the University of Twente in the Netherlands, University of Warwick in England, University of Strathclyde in Scotland, and the Chalmers Institute of Technology in Sweden. And his study was about, Burton Clark set a question. We have now 5 innovative universities in the study, but where are the common features behind their success? what makes the university innovative and entrepreneurial. And the main result of the study was the identification of 5 features which makes a university innovative and entrepreneurial. Actually, what he was meaning by an entrepreneurial university, it is he didn't give any exact definition, but he found some features around and characterizing entrepreneurial university. He mentions in particular that those universities, and now again we want to keep in mind that we are now in Europe of the 1990s, where all the systems were highly regulated, and the government give a more autonomy to the universities in every country, and the universities were quite were facing with challenges how to use the additional autonomy to advance the institutional developments. And in that sense, I see a lot of similarities with the African countries today. Actually, I have been working in Africa for close to 30 years in different countries, mainly in Anglophone Africa, and more intensively in Uganda and Ethiopia. But I see a lot of similarities. The systems are expanding, access is expanding, and government wants to support the expansion and give opportunities for the universities. And that is why what I'm now talking about the characteristics of the European innovative universities and entrepreneurial universities at that time, that they are looking for opportunities to use all the opportunities provided by government deregulation. They all wanted to find a new kind of institutional identity in the specific environment they are operating. They want to be different and more attractive among the students and staff. And they all wanted to enter the markets. That time, universities were very much public organization and not used to operate in the marketplace. But at the same time, they all were feeling that they need to support more effectively their operating environment. But among these 5 universities, the operating environments used to be very, very different. Another extreme was the University of Joensuu, which, as I mentioned, used to be located in the very rural environment. Some universities, like the University of Skratland in Sweden, in the city of Gothenburg, it used to be in the region of Swedish automobile industries. And again, if we go to Warwick in England, it used to be again also locating in the one of the most active industrial and high technology environment. That is why the challenges for universities were quite different. But And it means that in spite of that we are now going to talk about 5 features of entrepreneurial universities. The context where they are operating and what they have been doing used to be quite different. Actually, when we are talking about still about the concept of entrepreneurial university, we can separate 3 levels of the concept. First of all, institutional entrepreneurship. Then this is very much related to institutional management and leadership development of the university organization. The second level we can find is the academic and staff entrepreneurship. Then we are talking about spin-off companies based on research and institutional structures support and processes supporting spin-offs. And the third level we are talking about, we can find is the student entrepreneurship. Then we are talking about entrepreneurial education programs supporting students to enter the business life, encouraging innovative mind in teaching and learning. Do you have any questions at this moment? Okay, I will continue. Actually, Clark was... Yes.
Seppo.
Yes.
If you want to get a breath a little bit, I can ask a question that will stimulate our participants.
Yes.
You said, I think the Chalmers University was in the heart of the automobile industry in Sweden.
Yes.
Are you by this saying that entrepreneurial universities do and seize opportunities of their environment? And how would our participants here share their perspectives of how their universities can seize advantage of the ecosystem? But of course, je pourrais poser cette question en français si vous voulez, mais je demandais, il a fait, j'ai posé une question dans notre narratif. Comment est-ce que nous tous, nous pouvons saisir l'opportunité qui se trouve dans notre écosystème pour faire notre université plus entrepreneuriale? Donc, je lui pose la question, est-ce que l'université, Chalmers University of Technology est devenue entrepreneuriale parce qu'elle était dans la zone de fabrication des automobiles? So this is what I'm trying to ask Professor Seppo Hota,
yeah.
And also to find out how you can also seize advantage of your ecosystem.
Yeah.
We would listen to Seppo, and then maybe you share your experiences a bit before he continues.
Okay, thank you, Pascal, for your very, very important question and note about the importance to understand the ecosystem and the environmental conditions. And in that respect, I would say that from the African point of view, the most interesting cases are exactly the UNSU case, but also the case of Twente in the Netherlands, which is where the university had a very important role in the transformation of the the region. It used to be the textile industry region, but it collapsed, and the region was characterized by very high unemployment. And the university was explicitly established to save the region. And very much similar to what to the situation in Joensuu, because the university needed to be involved in the not only to respond to the environmental changes, but to create the ecosystem in collaboration with the cities and regional government and local industries who wanted to become to grow and become more high technology oriented. And it is interesting that it looks like that this concept is very relevant for both to the high technology ecosystem and the poor ecosystem, where some of the important elements are still missing. But that was the Pascal's question was very relevant because I strongly believe that this concept is very helpful also for African universities.
So does any of you want to share experiences about how to relate to your ecosystem, the ecosystem, to take advantage of the ecosystem? And Seppo, I would add also that there are literature that shows that Warwick University too was in this type of automobile.
Yes, yeah.
And that is why, so you think a university can easily become entrepreneurial when it addresses its direct environment, regional environment, ecosystem, like responding to the needs and so on. Do you have that belief, Seppo?
Yes, exactly. Very much.
So does anybody want to share experience? Either
I want to share an experience. Yeah, Laurent Ilboudou, I want to share an experience and ask a question. I do it in French and give you the floor to translate for the other participants. Bon, suite à la crise du coronavirus, nous avons vu beaucoup d'universités, notamment des établissements d'enseignement technique, se saisir de cette crise pour mobiliser leur personnel étudiant, leur laboratoire, fabriquer des masques, fabriquer du gel hydroalcoolique, fabriquer des respirateurs, transférer de la technologie vers le secteur privé. Ça peut se comprendre très bien pour ce type d'établissement qui ont une orientation technique professionnelle. Mais comment peut-on comprendre justement le rôle d'une université dans l'innovation où 80% des formations sont généralistes? Si vous avez un établissement classique où 85% des formations sont de sciences humaines, sociales, comment cette université peut être innovante, entrepreneuriale? C'est vraiment une question qui me taraude l'esprit. I wish I can have some answers to this kind of question. Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment. Anke,
yes, please.
Yes. My name is Anke Weisheit from Biotrack, Mara University, Uganda. Unfortunately, I have very poor internet for this year.
Mm.
In Uganda, Ugandan are general within Africa very entrepreneurial, and at the university where I am working, at the Center of Farm Biotrack, where we are promoting the research, training, and development of natural medicine, herbal medicine, cosmetics, and food, functional food, we have established a center, an innovation incubation center to actually harness the commercialization of innovations into commercial products. And we are using a 15-step model for building capacity to the innovators and also providing startup capital. So this is our contribution. Secondly, there is a business clinic established at the Bar University, but it's not under our management. It's a management science who established the business clinic. So that's how our university brings science into practice and also creates service to the business community. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for this very, very interesting.
Seppo, please. The question was whether a university that has very classical program can become entrepreneurial. If you don't mind, before Seppo speaks, I can make a comment about that. We are trying to come out with typologies in Africa, where we can have the innovation-driven type of universities, but we also have every typology of university responding according to its own the trajectory, for instance. But just to answer the question of Mr. Ibudu, every university can be entrepreneurial. The literature has not been clear about which one should be entrepreneurial. That is one of the reasons for this course. Go to the core characteristics of the entrepreneurial university, and we see which one we can introduce into the university and which one we cannot. Of course, some of the characteristics of entrepreneurial university, like to be very commercial and so on, the ecosystem down, financial situation of some universities like in Europe do not permit. But I would like to say every university can be entrepreneurial. Let me quote an example that Professor Seppo Horta would be surprised that I'm quoting it. In my doctoral thesis, I mentioned somewhere where you go to a university, the income source of that university, there's a
Hello?
A huge money coming from the Ports Authority, thinking that it was engineering that was collaborating, okay? It was not engineering. It was the language department that had taken a contract from the Ports Authority to translate laboratory equipment for the whole ports. The reason here was that the Ports Authority had imported a lot of equipment, heavy equipment concerning ship and so on and so forth, and the local staff were not very literate. Some are not very literate to be able to read instructions. So this language department had to take the contract to simplify the very cryptic English that was some of those equipment. So this is to say, we go to characteristics of entrepreneurial university, like to be innovative, to be creative. The creative use of language, for instance, can lead to a university generating a very important source of income. We go to characteristics like opportunism, seizing opportunity of the environment. There are quite risk-taking is one of the key in university entrepreneurialism. Risk-taking, like some universities take the risk of introducing programs that they would sell. I think Seppo also mentioned about the University of UNSO, and a situation, for instance, where UNSO seized the opportunity, the immediate environment of the forest specialization of the area, if I'm wrong, Seppo.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, so Seppo might just give a brief, maybe another person wants to add a little bit.
Yes, sure.
Seppo.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, and commercialization activities of university, we had also one challenge. Maybe the government universities have this kind of challenge in general. The commercialization means to make profit, and you use the profit to actually develop the system again, to invest back into the university. But right now, government universities, like in Mbarara in Uganda, the money generated is sent back to the treasurer, and then the treasurer allocates money to the university. So if that is happened, commercialization cannot happen, because more money is siphoned out than bring back. So you can't run a business. Secondly, the procurement procedure of government is so cumbersome and so expensive, and the service provider charging so much money that you can't run it as a business. It is impossible. So what we are trying to do now is to negotiate with the university to make the innovation incubator as an entity owned by the university that can receive money, can spend money commercially, not procurement. It takes 6 months to get a laptop. You have to buy from very expensive sources when you know a source next by which is cheap. The same quality of material, you can't run a business. So the policy system of earning money and spending money into the same business is one of the key challenges we face in commercialization, or in making this incubator we have running as a business. We have still battle with the legal issues, with system issues, with position. What is a company? Is this an institute? So the legal form, this is a main challenge in commercializing on entrepreneurial university. The finance flow, the finance spending and earning need to be looked at. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for description your system. It is you are very much talking about the importance of financial autonomy and financial incentives for the universities, which are really needed to create the development dynamics. And in fact, we were not very far from that in Finland in the early 1990s. And meaning that the university didn't have too much incentives to earn external funding, and because for instance the fees from the services went back to the government. But when the government started to increase the financial autonomy, my university used to look for the opportunities, where are the boundaries of the financial control of government, and develop a totally new system of financial management, which helped in that environment, and of course in every environment, but also as Pascal told in his comments, when we are talking about the increase of entrepreneurship at universities, we should understand the opportunities can emerge in the specific environment where there's a need for humanities, social sciences, not only engineering.
I was going to, somebody has just asked a question, Mrs. Suzanne Musembi, very pertinent question when it comes to entrepreneurial university. One of the characteristics. I was going to say that this is one of the most pertinent questions that when it comes to the question of autonomy, if I'm right, Mrs. Musembi. When universities, according to Burton Clark, when universities can generate their income, they easily gain their autonomy. It is a two-way benefit. Autonomy is a two-way benefit for entrepreneurial universities. When a university can generate its income, it has a larger voice, and the more a university is able to generate its own income, the more it can increasingly extensively become entrepreneurial. But according to the theory as well, granting autonomy also for universities is also a prerequisite for them to give them room to be entrepreneurial. That was one of the factors or the theories that led to the last reforms of the 1990s and so on in Europe. Give them autonomy so that they can take their risk. They can take their risk in investment. They can take their risk in the investment with the money. Now they can attract more income and they can solve some of their problems. They can, there is also the problem of massification, where everybody now wants to go to higher education, and it is clearly showing that state funding, it is clearly showing that state funding is going to be insufficient. So they give them autonomy. So the whole trend within the last 20, 30 years has been to give universities more autonomy so that they can become more entrepreneurial. Seppo, did you want to say something, or somebody wanted to ask something more?
Yeah, oh, thank you. Actually, maybe I shortly describe the main trends in for the we can identify in Finnish universities, the Finnish higher education concerning the increased autonomy. Actually, 30 years ago, the Finnish universities used to be part of government. We got the funding for the university was coming through government budget, and the budget was very highly regulated. For instance, we couldn't use funding it was a very strict line item budgeting, where if there was funding for some purpose in the budget, we couldn't use it to any other purpose. It was a very effective way of decreasing the innovative behavior. The other university staff used to be civil servants, and for instance, a professor's positions were established as part of, by the Parliament of Finland. And but it used to be a very gradual process. The financial autonomy and was the first step in starting the increased autonomy. But if we come back to the situation of today, now also the public universities, they are autonomous public entities, governments providing subsidies, but we are not part of the government budget anymore. In staffing issues, universities are totally independent, totally autonomous, meaning that now the opportunities to operate in the ecosystem and also in the marketplace has increased dramatically. But at the same time, because I have had an opportunity to follow the process of institutional transformation, I can say that you cannot take a big leap from the highly regulated organization to the totally autonomous university, because it is also the learning process. And that is why it looks like that everywhere the governments are providing small steps in particular in the beginning towards more autonomy, and I think it is in most countries, and I would say that it is the policy I strongly support. The universities need to develop the institutional management and leadership capacity to be able to benefit from the autonomy.
Before Seppo goes away, continues, je voudrais faire un très bon commentaire en français. L'autonomie est très forte dans le concept des universités entrepreneuriales. C'est-à-dire, je dirais, how do you say double traffic in French? Je dirais, c'est-à-dire, c'est des deux côtés. C'est-à-dire, quand une université peut générer ses propres ressources, cette université peut augmenter sa voix. C'est-à-dire, vous pouvez parler, vous pouvez prendre votre propre initiative sans être souvent réglementé par le gouvernement. Et à partir de cela, vous pouvez être de plus en plus entrepreneurial. Vous choisissez d'introduire dans un programme qui va vous générer de ressources financières. Ça peut être peut-être la biotechnologie. Vous le faites. Vous voyez, ça c'est le premier côté. Quand on a notre propre ressource, on peut avoir notre autonomie. Mais on appelle ça, je dirais, il faut aussi au préalable, quand on donne l'autonomie à une université, l'université aussi peut être, on donne l'autonomie parce qu'on veut que l'université soit beaucoup plus entrepreneuriale. Cette université prend ses propres risques, cette université peut investir dans les programmes qu'il veut. J'ai critiqué ça peut-être dans la narrative à partir de ce que je vois surtout en Afrique francophone, le fait que la plupart des recteurs sont nommés par décret présidentiel. Sont nommés par décret présidentiel. C'est-à-dire, quand on les nomme à partir d'en haut comme ça, et deuxièmement, la plupart des enseignants en Afrique francophone sont how do you call it? Les fonctionnaires. Voyons un peu ces deux bouts. Voyons un peu ces deux bouts. Le recteur, quand la personne est fonctionnaire, d'abord, on ne peut pas compenser la performance. C'est-à-dire, ça gêne un peu la performance quand tout le monde dans l'université est enseignant. C'est-à-dire, le recteur même, on dit, sa main est attachée. On ne peut pas sanctionner quelqu'un à base de la performance facilement. Donc, c'est des choses qu'on a un peu critiquées, l'autonomie de l'institution. Bon, la plupart des pays francophones aussi va vers l'autonomie institutionnelle, mais c'est souvent, un genre. Le fait que, c'est pour mentionner ça, en Finlande, la carrière professorale était gérée par l'Assemblée. It was by the Assembly, c'est pour. Professoral rang career. The Assembly had, earlier in Finland, the Assembly had a role to play in the professorial career. That is what you mentioned, Sepo.
Yeah, yes, actually, still by the late 1990s, it was the situation that it was the parliament who formally established the academic positions at the universities, and it used to be the president of the republic who appointed professors.
I was going to find out, Sepo, you still have some material. I think that we may be having maximum 30 minutes, so we don't take.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, because I think,
Sepo,
yes, please.
We wanted, usually we keep this type of data to use. We wanted somebody to take us a photo. If all of us can shoot the video and somebody will take it. Madam Banem, are you able to take, or is there somebody who is more expert to take for all of us, so that we will keep, and then we will post in our platform. So is there any better expert than Madame Evelyn Banem to take it and can send it to us by email?
D'accord. J'ai déjà pris les photos des participants et puis oui, j'ai pris les photos des différents participants au début et à la fin.
Yeah, let's put all ourselves on a video and take. Oh, okay. So who else has not put, please? Hello, we are just waiting. Hello, 2, 3 people. Good. Hello. So maybe Madame Banem can already start. Madame Banem, why are you also not on the video? Or because you are taking it? 1, 2, 3 people did not put.
Je ne peux pas me mettre en vidéo pour le moment, désolé.
Non, c'est bon. Vanessa, Professor Octans. C'est fini, c'est bon?
Non, je suis encore en train de faire les captures d'écran. C'est bon?
OK. Thank you very much. Does anybody want to say something concerning the discussion? We can leave Professor Sepo Horta to keep part of his material for the last 15 minutes. And then we just ask the last questions and close. We would have the next of this lecture on Thursday. And we kindly plead with you to give your impression in the forum so that other people can come. This component, interactive component, was taken as a way to correct some of the challenges on purely asynchronous course. I think this lively interaction like this is good. So if we can comment it in the forum and so many other people who are there can join the Thursday session, it will be very wonderful. So did anybody want to ask him a question? If not, we listen to Professor Sepo Horta.
Okay, thank you, Pascal. Yeah, actually, finally, I would like to identify and tell you about the 5 features of entrepreneurial universities. What Bertrand Clark identified from this from your.
Sorry.
Okay, can I speak now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Actually, he identified five features, 5 pillars for the entrepreneurial university. And what makes them a little bit difficult to understand is that he is not naming them by a simple way. Instead, that he wants to describe the contents of the pillars in the names of these. And the first one from these 5 pillars is the strengthened steering core. And by that he is meaning that that these 5 European universities, they had been developing effective academic leadership at all levels of the organization, at the university level, faculty level, and departmental level. But at the same time, they had been active to balance the individual leadership and hierarchies by the effective collegial mechanisms. And what used to be very important, and to integrate also the external membership to all collegial bodies, and linking them by that way more effectively and more strongly and more directly to the environment or the regional ecosystem. And the second feature he is talking about is the expanded development periphery. And again, it is a little bit difficult concept, but I try to explain what he's meaning. He's meaning that these traditionally very academic and closed organizations, they wanted they had started to develop interfaces and mechanisms between the university, academic research and teaching to the environment, to industries, but also the public organizations. They started to create services to both services which connect universities to the environment, invite teachers from industries and businesses, and to develop also more applied programs instead of the traditional poor academic discipline-based academic programs. and under the expanded development periphery, he's also counting characterizing that by saying that the universities became more develop their capacity to solve the problems of society. Simply saying that this is very much referring to the applications of the of research and knowledge production. But here I want to stop a little bit, because what is extremely important to understand here, that for long-term development of institutional development, what is extremely important is to keep balance between academic research and applications, because only the production of new knowledge in disciplines, poor disciplinary based research, it is the way of creating knowledge for applications. And many universities globally have a little bit had some misunderstanding of the concept of entrepreneurial universities by concentrating too much to applications. The university is the only social institution creating, whose main purpose is to create new knowledge through research. And it is the university, also the entrepreneurial university, always has the responsibility to emphasize fundamental research, but also to create balance between fundamental research and applications, and also bring new ideas to research from applications. And actually nowadays we can see good examples how what has happened globally. The universities have had a very important role in the developing of, for instance, vaccines to corona. They have had have a central role in environmental research based on the traditional disciplines like physics, biology, chemistry, and so on. But to keep these applied and fundamental issues in balance, and communicating is the main issue. The dialogue and the dynamics between applied and fundamental is important. Then the third characteristic of entrepreneurial university in Clark's study was the diversified funding base. Actually, as I earlier told you, that funding and the domination of government funding used to be the main problem in the 30 years ago in Finland and all European countries, which prevented them to go to the marketplace and collaboration to the businesses and industries. And of course, funding base is very much linked to the communication between fundamental knowledge production and applications. It is also very much related to the development of a governance system, opening the collegial bodies to external members and so on. And if we compare
I was going to add something if Seppo just gets a breath.
Yes, please.
Burton Clark didn't mention very clearly, maybe in passing, you know, assessing the entrepreneurial university. I mean, he did not really theorize it as much as other scholars theorize it as a feature of entrepreneurial university, which I'm supporting what Sepo has said. Application is an important feature of an entrepreneurial university. Sepo says that it is not just generating new knowledge that matters, but application. And going back to the point where we talked about, can any university be entrepreneurial? Creativity, application. That is, whenever you think about the way you use knowledge, you think about the way it would be applied. This example, you know, Sepo gives from Burton Clark, yes, but many other scholars, Sepo, who were the scholars of Motu, the Motu.
Gibbons.
Yeah, Gibbons. They really articulated it, but they too didn't situate it within the concept of entrepreneurial university, but this concept of applied nature of discipline means that, as I mentioned in the narrative, if you are doing, there are dry sub areas, there are dry areas like philosophy. If you are doing philosophy and you are creative, you should start thinking of how maybe you can design a program with the faculty of medicine, for instance, on the medical ethics, for instance. So every discipline can be entrepreneurial. History, the history, there can be some problem somewhere and they really want to trace the history. I think history also applies almost everywhere. Maybe also Burton Clark, I don't know if my impression also is that, you know, when Burton Clark writes too, he writes in that very sociological manner. One of the things which also Burton Clark stressed in passing but has also been articulated is multidisciplinarity. For instance, he talked of the enhanced developmental periphery. So in an entrepreneurial university, there is a structure that seeks to see how different disciplines can cooperate to do things together from the point of application. And Gibbons and the scholars who they published it in 1994 about Motu were talking about the application of knowledge beyond the cognitive level. That is, each time you're generating knowledge, each time you're teaching or carrying out an activity, you think of how it can be applied. You think of also how it can generate extra income.
Yeah.
So maybe we go for 5 minutes and then ask if there are questions.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And thank you very much, Pascal, for these additions. The fourth element Clark is identified was what is calling the stimulated academic heartland, and that is very close to, and we need to connect to the development periphery, because these universities, by some way, they had been able to create mechanisms to stimulate the basic academic research. He's calling academic heartland. By, for instance, by channeling some funding from the applications earned by university to basic research, and that is really very much what I talked earlier about the sustainable academic development. The applications, they die out quite soon if they cannot be connected to the basic research and basic knowledge production to create interaction between pure science and applications. The final condition, he identified the integrated entrepreneurial culture, meaning that the whole, in the heart of the whole transformation of the universities, creating a new kind of more entrepreneurial culture occupying all the participants of the university. Teachers, professors, researchers, administrators, students who are feeling that we are doing something different. We are doing something significant to society, and by a more entrepreneurial way. And that is, and here we are really talking about the occupying all the disciplines, all the educational programs, all research groups, research units to be more committed to the whole institution and serve society and make difference and create a new kind of new kind of university. Actually, talking about culture is something very abstract, but we can split up the cultural development to more practical issues. Also, where the leadership has an extremely important role. What kind of autonomy the departments and the faculties, how much autonomy is granted, how they are connected to the central level of the university, what kind of support the professors and teachers get from the leadership, and so on, and how the students are feeling to be part of the university, not only the client, the customers or clients, but members of the university.
I was going to add something, or maybe I can say something in French.
Yes, sure.
C'est bon? Hello.
Yes.
Let me just get a brief to our Francophone
yes.
people, because this is really a technical issue. First of all, I would reply to Mrs. Suzanne Musembi. I would reply when I'm making this analysis. Les 5 piliers, donc, Bertin a parlé de la transformation vers une université entrepreneuriale, était le changement dans la gouvernance de l'université. C'est gouvernance institutionnelle, il y a un changement. Lorsque nous allons faire étudier, ça s'appelle le OECD Guideline Framework, European Commission Guideline Framework for Entrepreneurial Universities. Vous voyez, il faut d'engagement au niveau central de l'université. L'engagement d'intégrer l'entrepreneuriat dans toute l'université. L'engagement d'introduire une culture d'entrepreneuriat dans l'université. Et lorsque nous allons faire, nous allons lire le cours en leadership et gestion d'une université entrepreneuriat, nous voyons les caractéristiques d'une université qui, que dirais-je, qui perturbe la transformation vers une université. Le premier, c'est le caractère disciplinaire de l'université. C'est-à-dire, quelqu'un, quand il est au département d'histoire, il ne pense que de l'histoire. Chimie, il ne pense que de chimie. Maintenant, au niveau institutionnel, il faut chercher à ce que toute l'université ait une vue de la nouvelle mission entrepreneuriale l'université. Le deuxième volet était chercher un financement, une structure de financement diversifiée. C'est-à-dire, et je dis, pour ce qui concerne les universités africaines, il y a des bonnes pratiques en Afrique. Mais les universités africaines ne partagent pas entre eux. J'ai vu des universités au Nigeria, là où ils sont tellement diversifiés. Je citerai l'exemple de Covenant University. Ils sont diversifiés par comment? Ils ont peut-être une église. Je ne sais pas, je ne dirais pas ici que l'église est une institution génératrice de ressources, mais ils ont une fondation, ils ont un hôtel et ils ont l'université. C'est-à-dire, c'est ce qu'on appelle, je ne sais pas comment je dirais en français, le cross-subsidizing. Quand l'université tombe, on peut prendre de l'hôtel et on soulève l'université. Donc, financement diversifié. Deuxièmement, financement durable. C'est-à-dire, on ne se dira pas que comme l'université est financièrement en basse, je ne sais pas comment le dire, ils vont créer, il y a des masters en Afrique qu'on crée dans deux semaines, on ferme. On voulait l'argent, peut-être pour faire quelque chose dans 2 ans. Non, il faut ce qu'on appelle le foresight. Je ne sais pas ce qu'on appelle, je dirais en anglais, c'est-à-dire une vision à long terme. C'est-à-dire, nous sommes dans un projet maintenant, là où les universités nigériennes veulent voir où ils seront en 2035. Donc, le troisième aussi, d'avoir un financement discrétionnel. Un financement discrétionnel, c'est-à-dire, on vous donne le budget, soit on vous donne le budget ou vous négociez avec le gouvernement pour qu'il y ait un budget pour l'exploration. I think Sepo mentioned it, that Burton Clark noticed it in the Entrepreneurial University. So when it comes to my colleague in Kenya who is talking about the commercial service, maybe Sepo would agree with me. Burton Clark mixed up the literature a little bit because at the same time, this aspect of commercial service is part of the enhanced developmental periphery. Am I correct, Sepo?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah, patenting, taking care of intellectual property rights, communication, but at the same time, Burton Clark talked of multidisciplinary units. He mixed and then put all of this under the enhanced developmental periphery. Our colleague has also talked about the National Commission of Higher Education in Kenya. When we go to learn about the Finnish higher education system, we would see that the National Commission is a bridging organization, if I'm correct, Sepo, like the Academy of Finland exists to bridge. So to make the system truly entrepreneurial, you have soft commissions which can do the scanning, have a long-term policy about economic development policy, and they try to see about how universities fit. Pour nos francophones, le quatrième était le Stimulated Academic Heartland, c'est-à-dire il faut un peu voir la manière dont on peut changer quelques valeurs des enseignants. C'est-à-dire, il y a des enseignants qui vous diront que non, monsieur le recteur, je suis je suis un professeur, un chercheur, je ne suis pas consultant. Il faut un peu changer leur valeur pour que l'université soit entrepreneuriat. Il faut le mélanger aussi dans la gestion parce que si vous prenez des décisions là-bas en haut, ils peuvent résister en bas. Est-ce que j'ai tort pour cela? C'est eux qui sont actifs. C'est eux qui sont, je dirais, fabriquent ces connaissances qu'il faut appliquer. Et le cinquième était voir comment on peut Integrated Academic Heartland, Integrated Entrepreneurial Culture, une culture intégrée qui va du haut vers le bas. Maybe Sepo wants to say something else and then we can just ask and then close.
Okay, very shortly. Actually, now we have been discussing the five pillars of the entrepreneurial university, but the Clark is presenting these 5 pillars in the sense that they are all interrelated. If one is missing, it is extremely difficult to create an entrepreneurial university. They are all interlinked. For instance, I described why the development periphery is so closely linked to the funding base, leadership, basic research, and also the creating of entrepreneurial culture. And by all these, we can take any of these 5 pillars and identify the links to the other 4, and that is important. And also, as we discussed in the very beginning, is that it is we first need to understand the environment, as Pascal used the concept of the ecosystem to create the institutional development strategy, development pathway in that specific environment. And if you go to read the Clark's book, you can see that the pathway in the highly developed industrial area used to be quite different from the pathway of the poor non-industrialized region. And that is the main mission. You first need to understand the environment of the university, including both the physical environment, the regional environment, but also the regulating environment by the government to start developing the transformation pathway of any specific university. And after working so much in Africa, I can say that what has been learned in Europe is very relevant to Africa. Actually, I have seen a lot of similarities. And maybe one of the advantages of the Clark's concept is that it is general enough to be applied to different environments. And we also see that, for instance, the international organizations like OECD, they have developed very practical instruments to measure the degree of entrepreneurship at the institutional level. But I would like to use this opportunity to thank everybody for the active participation and it has been wonderful to be in Africa through video this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sepo. You know, I am also an African. I'm always telling Sepo that that a student never separates with a very good professor. So he is supporting me all over where we go. He was my good professor. He's been almost over 40 times in Africa. So he's always supporting me in everything I do. So we've gone like that. Me and him, we've been to Yaoundé, we've been to South Africa. And also feel free, if you have something you can ask Sepo, maybe even later I can give the address with his permission.
Yes, sure.
You ask him just before Sepo, maybe in the next 2 weeks again, we will call you to come back very briefly. Maybe
okay.
Your time permits.
My pleasure.
We have also this idea of the way that some European universities, I was just thinking about it with my colleagues at the University of Tampere, have evolved is through the European Consortium for Entrepreneurial and Engaged Universities, whether we could also find some colleagues that we can think of this type of, that type of consortium where we look for entrepreneurship performance indicators and assess universities rather than, you know, maybe just the pathways coming from abroad. Because if you see the argument in Europe, they say that, oh yeah, teaching is, the quality assurance measures teaching, measures research, but nobody, there are no criteria to measure economic development activities of universities. So maybe if we have some administrators at the end of this course, we shall talk properly about that. We shall talk properly about that. I was just going to say something last when Sepo speaks. The fact that Burton Clark has been criticized first because he looks at all of these elements as institutional elements. Now, the OECD guideline framework comes in and says that no, also, but of course, Sepo, if I'm not wrong, Burton Clark talks somewhere about entrepreneurship, education, and so on. But you know, he looked at it from how to get it institutionally by these 5 building blocks, and OECD framework has come in and made it more properly by also introducing entrepreneurship teaching.
Yeah.
Teaching innovative pedagogies, how to make it. He is also even introduces elements of professionalization in it. Je voudrais demander à nos collègues francophones s'il y a des commentaires et si...
Oui, il y a des commentaires parce que moi, je suis à l'écoute depuis le début, mais malheureusement, je n'arrive pas à comprendre le discours. Mais en tout cas, c'est très intéressant. Et moi, je vous écoute depuis Dakar, au Sénégal. Moi, je suis instituteur de formation. Voilà, c'est pas la peine de vous décrire mon parcours, mais aujourd'hui, j'ai l'ambition, en tout cas, de faire un doctorat dans ce domaine, dans le domaine de la gouvernance universitaire, parce que malheureusement, en Afrique, il y avait l'Université du Cameroun qui avait introduit cette formation. Malheureusement, voilà, ça n'a pas duré parce qu'il me semble que depuis des années déjà, depuis 2 ans ou 3 ans déjà, il n'y a plus de master, parce que faute de candidats. Moi, j'avais voulu quitter le Sénégal pour aller là-bas le faire, mais c'est dommage, la distance et puis voilà, les moyens. C'est la raison pour laquelle je demande au professeur, est-ce qu'il ne doit pas penser en collaboration avec des gens comme vous-même qui dirigez le débat, de mettre en place un master international, en tout cas qui regroupe l'ensemble des pays francophones et anglophones pour vraiment enseigner ces choses-là. Parce que les universités doivent être entrepreneuriales. Aujourd'hui, c'est la mondialisation. Et les universités doivent jouer un rôle important. Et malheureusement, il y a beaucoup de ces questions-là que nos universitaires ne maîtrisent pas. Parce que beaucoup d'entre eux n'ont jamais été à l'école de la gouvernance, ni à l'école de la gestion. Et les universités sont comparées aujourd'hui à des entreprises et elles doivent donner des résultats. Et de là, elles doivent impulser la société. Moi, je pense que vraiment, c'est un débat très intéressant. Malheureusement, moi, la langue m'a bloqué parce qu'il y a beaucoup de choses que je ne comprends pas. Demandez au professeur, est-ce qu'il n'a pas possibilité de m'encadrer au doctorat parce que je suis vraiment intéressé. Voilà. Merci beaucoup.
OK. Avant de vous répondre en français, je vais parler d'abord avec le professeur Sepo Horta. Pour Banem, qui a été à l'Institut qui a fait le master en gouvernance universitaire, we want to say that the master's program in Yaoundé, if Sepo is there, was created by us and Sepo. Sepo?
Yes.
Our colleague is asking, can't we recreate the master's program? It graduated 2 batches or 3, c'était 3 à 2. Madame Banem, c'était 3 promotions?
Oui, c'était 3 promotions.
Yeah, it graduated and stopped because of some technical issues that we had. So our colleague is just asking, how can we get this program like for the whole of Africa? So I'm telling him that one is in Makerere University, the one in Yaoundé was created by us and Sepo. We visited Yaoundé too. If you want to continue the discussion, I can give you Sepo's email. We can continue it as you can continue it with Sepo. But we are having a meeting with the team back with Tampere. Sepo, did you accept to be the part of the meeting with Tampere?
Yes, I will participate, yeah.
Good. This is just one of the evidence that everybody is asking for this master's back. The African Union has asked it that these master's programs were very, very strategic. I have written to University of Yaoundé too that we should reopen it. Vous êtes aussi témoin, je dirais, la plupart des gens demandent le master qui était à Yaoundé. Comment on peut élaborer ça pour d'autres pays? Voilà. Et c'est ça que je dis. That's what I'm telling Sepo, that this will be one of the agenda of our discussion.
Okay, yeah.
They are asking for this. Our discussion with UC. They are asking for this master's program.
Je confirme les dires du professeur. Malheureusement, il a fermé, on ne sait pas trop pourquoi, mais bon. On espère qu'on aura l'occasion de l'ouvrir dans une autre université ou toujours au Cameroun, en Afrique, parce elle est vraiment bénéfique. Mais bon, je pense que nos mentalités, il est vraiment très difficile pour les universités francophones aujourd'hui d'accepter les ressortissants de ce master. Ils ont des difficultés, certainement à cause des mentalités qui font qu'il faut être absolument un grand professeur et il faut être nommé pour faire partie de l'administration dans nos universités. Mais sinon, elle a un bon potentiel. Cette formation a un énorme potentiel qui n'est pas encore accepté dans nos universités. C'est ce que je voulais dire.
Madame Bane, on va tout. Sepo, Madame Bane is coming from IFGU. You remember that the Institute of Higher Education Governance in Yaoundé.
Yes, sure.
We visited it with Sepo. On va tout faire, Madame Banem. What I'm trying to do, c'est qu'on va faire maintenant, c'est de voir, on va entamer les discussions avec les autorités de l'enseignement supérieur au Cameroun, peut-être même le ministre de la fonction publique. C'est-à-dire, on va commencer au début, c'est-à-dire pour dire, voilà, quand quelqu'un sort de ce master, qu'est-ce qu'il peut faire dans l'université? Est-ce qu'on peut les promouvoir? Est-ce qu'ils deviennent directeurs ou Parce que tu ne peux pas être diplômé de ce master et on te fait administrative assistant. Vous êtes formé à diriger une université. Donc, c'est une très bonne discussion pour que les étudiants de loin là où ils vont et pour que on valorise.
Je peux intervenir? Je peux intervenir?
Oui, oui.
Oui, d'accord. Vous parlez toujours du Cameroun en oubliant également les autres pays. Moi qui vous parle.
Non, on a parlé en anglais on va faire pour le Sénégal et
oui.
Comme on peut ouvrir une discussion à part entière avec le Sepo Honta.
Voilà. Alors, vous parlez tout à l'heure de ceux qui sont déjà diplômés. C'est vrai que, bon, c'est pas intéressant d'être diplômé à ce niveau élevé, un Master 2 en gouvernance universitaire et d'occuper les basses fonctions. C'est vrai. Mais le contraire aussi peut se produire parce qu'on peut avoir un diplôme en Master 2 en gouvernance universitaire et ne rien comprendre aussi. Attention, il faut de l'expérience. C'est-à-dire que c'est des formations normalement qui devaient être destinées aux enseignants, aux professeurs de lycée et collège, aux instituteurs. Ces gens-là ont déjà une expérience dans le domaine de l'enseignement. Vous comprenez? S'ils parviennent à faire un Master 2 dans ce domaine, ils seront compétents une fois sur le terrain. Et normalement, toutes nos universités devraient avoir des gestionnaires de ce genre-là, des gens qui ont eu à faire un Master 2 en gouvernance universitaire pour occuper certaines fonctions. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup de fonctions au niveau de l'université qui sont occupées, en tout cas, au Sénégal, le pays que je connais, il y a beaucoup de fonctions dans les universités qui sont occupées par des gens qui n'ont rien, qui n'ont même pas souvent de bonne formation. Vous comprenez? Donc, il va falloir vraiment repenser ces choses-là, essayer de voir un master international en ligne même, pourquoi pas, en ligne, organisé peut-être par l'Université de Tampere. Voilà, en ligne, mais qui intégrerait en français et en anglais. Voilà, qui pourrait permettre quand même aux gens de pouvoir faire la formation. En tout cas, le Cameroun, les gens, nos amis du Cameroun ont fait un effort. Moi, j'avais déposé ma candidature, j'ai été accepté 2 fois, mais les moyens m'ont manqué pour pouvoir faire partie de la première et de la deuxième cohorte. Voilà.
On va voir même le côté moyen. If we have African Union asking and so on, we will look at even how to get resources for this. Sepo, he says he applied in Yaoundé twice. He was accepted, but he didn't have the resources. So Sepo, this is very important agenda I'm bringing up. I had it in mind. Then he was saying that why doesn't the University of Tampere create an online master's program or an online program for teaching such courses to Africans? This is another agenda that we take to our meeting because we have to start something also online as everything goes digital. If somebody doesn't have a question, we can close. Is there anybody with question?
Pour ça? Allô?
Oui, on vous écoute, Madame Banou.
Oui, moi, je n'ai pas une question, mais j'aimerais apporter une remarque à Monsieur Sek.
Oui.
Tout à l'heure, qui parlait du fait qu'on pouvait faire ce master, donc il fallait que ce soit les enseignants. Je voudrais tout simplement ajouter que la gouvernance universitaire, ce n'est pas seulement le domaine pédagogique, donc il y a le domaine financier et comptable. Et c'est ce que les Africains, les francophones n'ont pas encore compris, c'est qu'on n'a pas besoin d'être un enseignant pour diriger une université. On a juste besoin d'avoir une formation en Master 2. Moi, je pense même que ça suffirait pour diriger une université parce qu'on a une vue globale avec cette formation de l'université et de ses complexités. Donc, il ne faut pas forcément être un enseignant ou bien avoir fait de la pédagogie pour administrer une université. C'est juste cette remarque que j'ai voulu faire.
Alors là, je suis parfaitement d'accord avec vous. Franchement, là, c'est une remarque extraordinaire parce que...
Monsieur Sek et Madame Banem, je voudrais ajouter ce que Madame Banem venait de dire. que le profil des élèves participants à ce master à Yaoundé était très, très important. Il y avait des directeurs, je dis la vérité, non, Madame Banem. Il y avait les directeurs des instituts, il y avait aussi des enseignants, il y a, je pense au docteur Ngola qui se disait non. You know, Sepo, we are talking about the profile of those who were admitted in Yaoundé.
Yes.
It was a wonderful profile. We had directors, we had university lecturers who came for it. We would do everything to open this program. If we have institutional challenges in Yaoundé too, of course, this program in Yaoundé is part of the tuning program of the European Commission.
Yes.
As part of the tuning of the European Commission, we would launch it there and ask them what after this can come up. And we see. So if somebody has a question, we just ask briefly, and then we are almost 2 hours, whereas we plan to be here for 1 hour. Sepo, really sorry, I know you must have planned something else.
Okay, it's okay, and thank you so much for everything. It has been my greatest pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thursday, the same time, we'll try to keep it short, but let's encourage other mates, because we found out that some people just registered there. We had questions about if this course could be simply just asynchronous than interactive. I think all of us have enjoyed this interactive session today. It is lively. On direct, partie interactive est faite pour encourager, c'est-à-dire comme une innovation sur la nature asynchrone du cours, et qu'on souhaiterait qu'on encourage sur notre forum pour que les autres viennent lundi, jeudi. Nous allons avoir l'un des meilleurs experts en gouvernance universitaire jeudi. Il parle de comment positionner une université économiquement et puis l'état de recherche en Afrique. Merci beaucoup.
Lundi à quelle heure?
Jeudi à la même heure, 9h, heure du Sénégal.
Voilà. En tout cas, merci beaucoup vous. Et j'aimerais vraiment vous connaître et partager avec vous, parce que vous me semblez vraiment être intéressant et vous maîtrisez le domaine dans lequel, en tout cas, je rêve de devenir docteur comme tout le monde.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
On espère que vous allez faire les commentaires et tout ça. Et,
voilà.
Vraiment, on est 113 personnes.
Oui.
Mais on dira que c'était le début, et on va aussi commencer très fortement jeudi à la même heure. Merci beaucoup. Et on verra le professeur Sepo, Monsieur Sek, pour ce que vous avez soulevé.
D'accord, d'accord. Merci beaucoup. Donc, à jeudi.
Jeudi.
Merci, merci.
Thank you very much.
Merci.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.